All right. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to get into a variety of topics, but this first topic, we're going to talk about this EV tax credit. It is almost April 18th now. I don't know what time it is in the US. Probably a day ago, so April 17th. But the EV tax credit, this 7,500 federal tax credit for Tesla has changed. The Treasury, EPA, and the EPA all have announced what vehicles will actually qualify, and so we'll go through the list of Teslas and see, and we'll kind of talk through it and explain on what is actually going on and how a little bit on how the EV tax credit, the electric vehicle tax credit, actually works, if you're confused with that as well. But at this point, this is where I usually run my intro, so let's do that. But if you're just joining in, my name is Dennis. I love talking about Tesla hacking, as I like to call it, but basically just getting the best deal on Tesla at the best financing rate. So definitely hit that subscribe if you're interested. And today's video is actually sponsored by my Patreon link down below in the description if you want to support the channel and get access to the best Tesla buying guide out there. So definitely check it out, Patreon link down below in the description. And so let us get into this. So if you don't know what's going on, there is one EV tax credit, but there are two different variations of it. You can get 7,500 federal tax credit if you buy a Tesla Model Y and at any single trim, and you basically just have to take delivery and that's it. And so once you get the tax credit, what happens is you actually file for the tax credit next year when you do your taxes next year. And to qualify, really you just have to make a certain amount of tax liability. You can use websites like Smart Asset to figure out how much actual income you actually make, to see how much taxes in full you actually pay for your tax liability, because it all makes sense on how much tax liability you actually have, not like any sort of refund or anything like that. And so if you see right here, we've got a look slated in here, $75,000 person, a single earner, no deductions whatsoever in terms of like 401k or anything like that. This person actually pays a tax liability of $9,381 throughout every year, throughout every single paycheck as a W-2 income earner. So basically, when you buy the Tesla Model Y, you would get this 7,500 taxes. You get that refund back in full. And so you can see how this could change depending on how much income you make. If you make $50,000, then you don't have enough tax liability to get that full $7,500 tax credit back. You can see that goes down to $44,000. So you can see you can get a little bit where you wouldn't get that full benefit back. But jumping back to the Tesla Model Y, in full you get there is a 7,500 federal tax rate, and this is the actual list. If you want to take a look and see all the different models, it's fueleconomy.gov. It's actually linked down below in the description amongst all the different resources that you can use. And so this is a site where you can go to it. It just got updated yesterday. You can see there's two different sections now. There's one for vehicle placed in service on or after April 18th, and then there's vehicles placed in service after December 31st, but before April 18th, right? So that's actually when you take delivery. It's not when you order the vehicle, it's actually when you take delivery and quote unquote place it in service. And so you can see there, you can sort down to Tesla as I've done already, and you can see all Model Ys qualify for the 7,500 federal tax credit, all the way up to an MSRP of $80,000. And so jumping to the Model 3, that's where the situation changes just a little bit, right? So there's only two trims of Model 3 that you can buy right now. I mean, you could find a Model 3 long range if you got lucky, but it seems like Tesla is not really releasing any of these vehicles at all. So this is waiting for Tesla.com, great inventory aggregator site where you can take a look and reserve vehicles that are actually out there. So shout out to TJ and the team. You can see there really isn't any Model 3 long range that are available right now. Mostly Model 3 rear-wheel drive standard ranges and a lot of performance all-wheel drive. So you can see right here the price of the Model 3 standard range is $41,990. I do predict that this price probably will go down in the near future now that the Model 3 standard range has lost half of the tax credit. So if you buy this now, if you take delivery of this vehicle after the April 18th, it is now only a $3,750 tax rate, which is half of the $7,500. So if you're confused on what is going on here, basically to the TLDR is because of the battery components of the battery minerals and the manufacturing of the vehicle, the Model 3 standard range does not qualify for the full $7,500 federal tax rate. And so right now only the Model 3 Performance does for the full $7,500, and all of the variations of the Model Y long range, all-wheel drive standard range, and performance. But the funny thing here, or the interesting thing here, is there seems to be a vehicle missing from this website, missing from the fueleconomy.gov. And the only reason why it's missing is because Tesla did not submit the vehicle to the government to qualify for the 7,500. So does this mean that Tesla does not plan to release the Model 3 long range anymore, because it's 100% missing from this website? So that's pretty interesting stuff, because the Model 3 long range does exist in other markets, other countries, but not in the US right now. And it's been grayed out for a while now. So pretty interesting stuff. We don't really know what's going on. Maybe Tesla doesn't plan to release the Model 3 long range for a long time, maybe all the way until the Project Highland refresh. Then that's probably when they will release it at that point. But it seems like right now they will not be releasing the Model 3 long range, and probably not for the near future, which pretty interesting stuff, that's for sure. I mean, maybe because we definitely thought that they were going to drop, or I think that they're going to drop the price from the Model 3 standard range down to $39,990 and then introduce a Model 3 long range at like $45,000. But it seems like that might not be the case at this point. They might, maybe they're just going to hold that Model 3 long range all the way until the Project Highland actually gets released. So that's pretty interesting stuff at this point, that's for sure. So, but let me know what your thoughts on it. Let me know what you're thinking. The Tesla Twitter, or Twitter on Teslas, they've been talking a lot about this and how it's pretty much as expected. So if you got a pending EDD, a pending delivery date, you know, you're still good, you're still fine. You can take delivery pretty much at any time, and you will get that 7,500 federal tax credit on the Model Y. The Model 3 standard range is the only one that pretty much lost it, and so right now you can take advantage of pretty good prices. I mean, the Model Y Performance is at its lowest price it's ever been at $56,990. Some of the other trims, they've been lower, like the Model Y long range has definitely been at a lower price than $52,990, and then the Model Y standard range is newly introduced. So there's some pretty decent deals right now. You can, and on top of that, if you have not heard, you can use financing partners like Tenet down below in the description, where you can defer that 7,500 federal tax credit all the way to the end, which results in a lower monthly payment. So definitely check it out, and thank you to Tenet for sponsoring some of the videos this month. Check it out down below in the description. This results in a lower monthly payment, so there is a strategy where you can use Tenet, defer that 7,500, get a low monthly payment, and then potentially refinance it with a different bank after all of that. So definitely check it out. Tenet link down below in the description. But pretty big news. If you don't know this website, check it out, fueleconomy.gov. You can see all the different OEMs, all the different Teslas that qualify or do not qualify. And the biggest thing here is that Model 3 standard range is now, as expected, down to $3,750. And the Model Y keeps the 7,500. So congrats to everybody that's made it this far. Congrats to everybody that was worried about their estimated delivery date or not getting that 7,500. You basically have got it now, as long as you qualify as an individual. And if you're confused on how that qualification is, or how how you can get that 7,500 federal tax credit, check out a couple videos on the channel. We've made plenty of explain videos. There's even more videos where I dive into it a little bit more depending on certain factors, so definitely check it out. But we're going to jump into our next topic. But before we do that, this video is actually sponsored by my Patreon link. Down below in the description is a Patreon link where you can support the channel, and there's a variety of benefits, but some of them include actually scheduling a call with me, where you can ask me any questions about buying a Tesla, selling a Tesla, or even financing a Tesla. And after you join the Patreon, you get a link to my buying guide, which has links to all the resources I use to get the best possible deal at the best financing rate, including a list of credit unions and banks on that list that all have interest rates lower than Tesla financing, lower than this 5.59%, some as low as even as 2.9 to 3.7%. So definitely check it out. Patreon link down below in the description. And as an added benefit, I do respond to all Patreon DMs and direct messages if you have any questions one-on-one about anything about buying a Tesla, selling a Tesla, or even financing a Tesla. So definitely check it out. Patreon link down below in the description. But thanks for joining in, everyone. We're still in Japan, so thanks for joining in. Thanks for dropping by and supporting us while we're doing our travel streams. We've got a little laptop here, camera set up, and so and Tesla news keeps going every single day, every single day at this point. But let me know if you have any questions on this. Pretty much cut and dry, but I can certainly understand how it could be confusing for some people. So, you know, that's the benefit of the live stream. You can come in, ask anything you want, and we will get to it and talk about it. But in this next topic, we're going to talk about Volkswagen's latest electric vehicle, or Tesla killer as they like to call it. But they've just released the specs of the ID7, and this actually looks pretty enticing in terms of what the actual specs are being released for. I mean, we're talking 435 mile range and $45,000. I mean, we're gonna get into it, but if you're just joining in, my name is Dennis. I love talking about Tesla hacking, as I like to call it, but basically just getting the best United Tesla at the best financing rate. So definitely hit that subscribe if you're interested. And so let us quickly take a look at this. I mean, we covered this leak a few days ago, but we didn't get the actual specs on it, but now it has finally been unveiled. So shout out to electric.co. Volkswagen's newly unveiled ID7 electric sedan specs up to a 435 mile range WLTP. So of course, WLTP has been talked about most recently because of another vehicle. The Model 3 long range rear wheel drive has a 400 or up to a pretty high WLTP range as well, 380 or something like that we talked about yesterday. And so that got me thinking, like, what is WLTP versus EPA? And so WLTP is a little bit higher range. So here's a list of all the different vehicles out there that are WLTP versus EPA, and you can see right off the bat there's a high WLTP number versus the EPA range. So if we go down to Model 3 long range right here, WLTP is 348 and the EPA is 322. So even if this vehicle has a very high WLTP of 435, then we can expect maybe an EPA range of, like, let's just call it 400, even 390, which is still pretty high and up there for a sedan, an electric vehicle sedan, especially if you jump down to here at this price right here, $45,000. And if that comes out in the US, and if it qualifies for any sort of electric vehicle tax credit, maybe it probably won't at this point, now that the EPA and the Treasury have released stricter guidelines. But I mean, even if it doesn't, $45,000 is a pretty slamming deal, and that's a lot of competition for Tesla. I mean, Model 3 long range will just have to reduce the price even more now that the competition is coming on strong. So AR heads-up display now standard, new 15-inch infotainment screen. So that's this one right here, which, I mean, you can tell, I mean, that looks pretty familiar, right? Big screen in the middle, big huge iPad that's tilted towards the driver. Very nice interior, and plus a dash behind the steering wheel as well. So very, very nice. 200 kilowatt DC fast charging, not bad. I mean, there's companies that go up to 350 now, and Tesla pretty much can go to 250. So I don't know about that. And then 77 and kilowatt, 86 kilowatt battery options for the vehicle. But the biggest thing to me, estimated price $45,000. That seems like a very slick deal, especially for the amount of vehicle that you can get on this. So I mean, I'm pretty interested in this. I mean, I used to think that this design was not it, but I mean, you cannot deny some of the value of it, especially if these stats start to hold up for that. But definitely some pretty interesting stuff. Let me know what your thoughts on it. We're going to jump into our next topic, but before we do that, this video is like sponsored by my Patreon link. Down below in the description is a Patreon link where you can support the channel. So definitely check it out if you're interested. All right, thanks for joining in, everyone. If you are just joining in, the EPA and Treasury have released their newest update for the 7,500 federal tax credit. You can check it out, link down below in the description, fueleconomy.gov, and you can see there we've sorted down to Tesla, and all Tesla Model 3 and Model Ys get the 7,500 federal tax credit, except the Model 3 standard range, which only gets $3,750. So as expected pretty much at this point. And so this is basically you must take delivery and put in service before or after April 18th. You're pretty much good at this point. And if you're confused about the 7,500 federal tax credit and how it works, check out some of the videos on the channel which basically explain on how that exactly works. But definitely some pretty much stuff. I mean, it's as expected. Pretty much it's sad news for everybody else. We'll talk about it. In this next topic, we're going to talk about this 7,500 EV tax credit, and it seems like a lot of manufacturers, notably BMW, Rivian, and more, have lost the 7,500 federal tax credit. And so we'll jump into it and talk about all the different models out there. But it sucks for a lot of those companies, that's for sure. But if you're just joining in, my name is Dennis. I love talking about Tesla hacking, as I like to call it, but basically just getting the best deal on Tesla at the best financing rate. So definitely hit that subscribe if you're interested, and check out my Patreon link down below in the description if you want to support the channel, but more on that later. All right, so let us take a look at this. So shout out to Tesla Chan on Twitter. He posted this and I saw it first. As expected, Tesla, we just talked about it, will get the 7,500 federal tax rate except the Model 3 standard range. And this was being confirmed by this website down below in the description, the fueleconomy.gov, where you can see all the different vehicles and all the different brands that either qualify for the full 7,500 federal tax credit or down to 3,750. And the list is pretty much all over the place. But you can see right here, Volkswagen, BMW, Nissan, Rivian, Hyundai, Kia, Volvo, etc. are all disqualified from the full credit according to the regulation. So that's a huge list of companies. But the thing with this is that I'm pretty sure leasing still kind of circumvents this because it's a commercial lease. But I guess more on that later on what will actually happen, because we'll need to see how these companies ingest this and figure out how they're going to move forward with leasing, because that could be the only loophole at the moment. Who knows? The only companies that receive the all 7,500 tax credit are Tesla, GM, and Ford. So that's pretty much as expected, because how the Inflation Reduction Act was written, it wanted to support American manufacturing and American battery minerals. So it's kind of good to see that other American companies are basically in line and receiving benefits from the tax credit. So if you want this full list, it's right here, fueleconomy.gov. You can put in any vehicle that you might be interested in buying, but mostly it's going to be Teslas for I can imagine people that watch this channel. But what stood out to me is Mach-E lost basically the 7,500 federal tax rate, just like how the Model 3 lost the 7,500 federal tax rate down to 3,750 each for both of them. Some other ones, Equinox, that's pretty cool. That's a new EV SUV that's coming out, 7,500. Bolt EUV and the Bolt regular one is also getting the 7,500, and the Blazer is also getting the 7,500 federal tax rate. Lyric, a very expensive, nice SUV electric vehicle. I saw it in person. I definitely thought it was very nice. It's also going to get the 7,500. But here is the full list. Shout out to Sawyer Merritt for breaking it down for all of us as of April 18th. And this is if you take delivery after April 18th. Here are the vehicles that lost it: Rivian, R1S, and R1T, Audi Q5, BMW 330 plug-in, X5 BMW plug-in, Genesis, Nissan Leaf. Unfortunately, the Nissan Leaf has now lost it. Volkswagen ID4, multiple variants have also lost it. That's a big Tesla killer, that's for sure, because it is right in line with the Model Y and Model 3 pricing. Volvo S60 also losing it, but then there's only 8 battery electric vehicles that will qualify for the full 7,500 federal tax rate. We've got the Model 3 and the Model Ys. Ford F-150 Lightning, nice. It's good to see that on the list. Hopefully the Cybertruck, fingers crossed, will also come in and become available under $80,000, hopefully. Chevy Bolt and Bolt EUV, good price leader, I would say. Cadillac Lyric, a very nice car in my opinion. And then the Chevy, all Chevy SUVs and trucks, because those are not yet launched yet. So I can imagine maybe Chevy just submitted their list of vehicles to the EPA and Treasury and just said, you know, they're going to be good, don't worry, like they'll be fine. And then they just put it onto the website here. But Here's a list of vehicles that only qualify for the 3750 amount, and the list is on the screen as well. And pretty much as expected for these vehicles not to get the full 7,500 federal tax credit, but definitely some pretty interesting stuff. Of course, a lot of good headlines out there, right? Like this one: VW, Rivian, Nissan, BMW lose access to the US EV tax credit, and it's pretty interesting stuff at the end. So just be aware of it out there. Be aware of what is going on. But if you're buying a Tesla, you're pretty much good at the end of the day. Pretty much it's just Model Y. You're very good. You're gonna get the 7,500 tax credit on all trims, and the Model 3 only on the Model 3 Performance you get the full 7,500, and the Model 3 Standard Range you lose down to the 3,750. And so you're pretty much good, and so you qualify for that full 7,500 federal tax credit. So if you've got a pending delivery, if you've got a pending EDD, you will be fine, and you have nothing to worry about it at this point. And so will there be a price decrease in the near future? Who knows? I mean, we've been speculating and thinking that the Model 3 Standard Range would get a decrease because it now loses the 7,500 federal tax credit. But now taking a look at this list and seeing all the different companies that have also lost the tax credits, maybe the competition won't be as strong anymore. So maybe there won't be a price decrease. It really just depends. I mean, the earnings call is in the next few days, so we'll probably get more insight on what their strategy is, if there's going to be more price decreases, and much more on Tesla's outlook and guidance. But definitely some pretty interesting stuff. Let me know what your thoughts on it. Let me know what you're thinking. We're going to jump into the live stream comments, but today's video is actually sponsored by my Patreon link. Down in the description is a Patreon link where you can support the channel, and there's a variety of benefits, but some of them include actually scheduling a call with me where you can ask me any questions about buying a Tesla, selling a Tesla, or even financing a Tesla. And after you join the Patreon, you get a link to my buying guide, which has links to all the resources I use to get the best possible deal at the best financing rate, including credit unions and banks on that list that all have interest rates lower than Tesla financing, lower than Tesla's 5.59%. So definitely check it out. Patreon link down below in the description. And as an added benefit, I do respond to all Patreon DMs or direct messages if you want to ask me any questions one-on-one about buying a Tesla, selling a Tesla, or even financing a Tesla. So definitely check it out. Patreon link down below in the description. But if you're just joining in, welcome. Here is the list, the full list of all the manufacturers and OEMs that lose the 7,500 federal tax credit and which ones gain it. Go to fueleconomy.gov, link down below in the description. But also shout out to Sawyer Merritt for basically isolating and creating this list for us. Here is a list of all the vehicles that qualify. Here's that qualify, and here's that only qualify for the 3,750. So basically, if you're good, TLDR, Model 3, Model Y, 100% good, all different trims. Model 3, only the Performance. Model 3 Standard Range goes down to 3,750. I'm waiting to pick up my Model Y Performance. I'm so happy with this news. Congrats. Congrats to you. Elite. If the Model 3 and Model Y share the same bumper and headlights, I think when Thailand occurs, Model Y will probably get the facelift 2 to reduce parts on shelves and storage. I think so too, but also like Model Y has a lot of demand right now. Tesla sells a lot more Model Ys than Model 3s, so I don't think they would release both of them at the same time. They would basically allow it to have people to give some sort of choice. Do they want the new Model 3 Highland or a Model Y? And so that would help sales in both areas, I would say, at the end of the day. MSRP on the Model Y should be $54,990. So New Jersey gets $2,000 off state taxes. That'd be nice, actually. But imagine buying an electric Volkswagen when the ICE vehicles had so many electrical gremlins. Haha, shots fired for sure. Yang, welcome. Thanks for coming back. Haven't been here in a while. She's loving the range on it. Yeah, for sure on the Volkswagen one. Kay, thank you. Coming back. Thanks for coming back. Value is good. Design is bad. Volkswagen had to save money somewhere. Yeah, I don't really like the design of it, but I mean, if you're looking for a commuter car, that's something you need to get you from point A to B. I mean, it's not bad. ID7 reminds me of the Onyx 6. Yeah, for sure. Front end at least. Yeah, they all seems to be going in that same egg shape, similar style. It's so ugly. I wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Model 3 with the Model 3 Highland, Project Highland that could be coming out, that is a stunner for sure. I mean, no ifs, ands, and buts. Like, if you don't like a design, you can still probably agree it is very aggressive and sleek at the end of the day. Right now, did the Model Y went back to the same price drop in January, right at 56,990? Yes, it did. So now it is back to the January price, and it's probably going to stay at that price for a while. Now that it's coming out that the Model Y will get that full 7,500 tax rate. I read some info about the Rivian is making a $40,000 car. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea because both the lineup is quite expensive. Yes, and also Rivian has came out and said they're going to make profit next year. So a lot of interesting stuff in the Rivian aspect. When do you think the Model 3 price cuts will come? I would say maybe at the end of this month or maybe next month. Yeah, not sure they should do it soon because the refresh is coming soon this year. Yeah, that's true. Maybe they should wait. Price cuts tomorrow, River? I think so. Oops. There we go. Price cuts tomorrow? I think so, yeah. And then maybe not tomorrow, maybe by the end of this month. I think Tesla, what they're going to do is if the inventory keeps going up for the Model 3, the Model 3 standard range, which it has been, but now it's like kind of dropping down a little bit. It spiked up and then now it's kind of weaning down. So they're going to wait and see. If people keep taking delivery and inventory keeps going away, then I don't think they're going to drop the price. But if it doesn't, then I think they will drop the price. Hey Joe, EDD changed to April 20th to May 4th. Order date January 20th. Model Y long range. Ooh, okay, so January 20th. That's a couple days from now. But hopefully you got your financing squared away. Try some of the EDD hacks on the channel if you want to try and bump up your order. But thanks for watching this video, guys. Please hit that like if you enjoyed. Check out the links below in the description if you want to support the channel, including Tenet's link if you want to lower your Tesla monthly payment with financing or even refinancing, because you can defer that 7,500 federal tax rate and then get that tax rate next year. So definitely check it out. Thank you to Tenet for sponsoring.